So, call the meeting to order. Thank everyone for coming here today, especially thank the Secretary for coming, bringing your cast with you. I really do appreciate that. I think the first thing we need to do maybe is go around the table and introduce everybody so everybody knows who we are. I'll start. Dennis Frazier, President of the Board of Commissioners. Go this way.
Steve Wance, Vice President of the Board of County Commissioners, and I want to reiterate what you told me. This is your favorite county in the state of the favorite county. The
favorite.
Okay, just want to make sure of that. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Melissa Williams with the Maryland Transportation Authority.
Good afternoon, Ashish Solanki, MDOT Maryland Aviation Administration.
Good afternoon, Travis Johnston, MDOT MTA, Office of Local Transit Support.
Good afternoon, Rashad Johnson, MDOT MBA.
Pete Ron, Secretary.
Greg Slater, MDOT State Highway Administration.
John Concanon, MDOT, State Highway Administration, District 7.
Mark Widmeyer with the Governor's Office.
Roberta Wyndham, County Administrator.
Commissioner Richard Rothschild, lame duck.
Commissioner Dick Weaver, District 2, and Secretary of the Board.
So many things I could have said to that. But if, I don't know how we'd like to proceed, but if you'd like to start with your presentation and we'll go from there, I think that's probably the best way to do it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President and members of the Commission. Distinguished guests in the audience, it's very much my pleasure for the team to be here today to discuss the draft CTP that covers fiscal years 2019 through 2024. I'm not going to go through the introductions that we have right here, but we do have our regional planner, Dan Janicek, and Dan's at the back. Anyone who does not have a copy of the CTP and desires one, raise your hand. Dan will bring you one. And so with that, the only person to introduce that's not right here is Jeff Tosi, he's at the back, and he's with the Secretary's Office, and he's our Government Affairs Director. So first, I want to thank you for taking time during the MACO conference to visit with us about county issues. We find that opportunity to just be so invaluable that we can have a very frank conversation about the trends within the county and how the department can assist. At MACO, you asked if we could add a turn lane toward Taneytown on Maryland 140, and if we could illuminate the intersection at MD 140 and Tyrone Road. So MDOT SHA is moving forward with the design and installation of lighting at intersection. And for the turn lane, funding has been approved for the widening project starting in fiscal year 2021. Okay. You asked about an access permit on Route 30 in Hampstead, where there's a 250 house development that's going to be constructed. And we will continue to work with the town as this project goes through the development process. For fiscal year 2029, as we now get into the rest of the CTP, fiscal year 2029 to 2024, the Hogan administration is investing $16 billion in Maryland's transportation network, with 53% of the budget going to Maryland's roads and bridges. Above and beyond this funding, the Maryland Transportation Authority is investing an additional $3.3 billion in our toll roads and bridges. With Governor Hogan's leadership, we have completed 9 major road and bridge projects totaling $462 million, and another 17 totaling $1.2 billion are underway. And that's just the major projects. We are investing in projects of every size all over the state. In 2015, Governor Hogan committed to fixing every structurally deficient bridge that was identified at that time in Maryland. All of the 69 structurally deficient bridges identified then have been repaired, replaced, or are advertised for construction. We continue to deliver on the largest construction program in the state's history, the MDOT excuse me, MDOT currently has a total of 816 projects under construction, including airport, highways, transit, port, and bicycle projects at a value of $8.8 billion. Of those, the MDOT State Highway Administration alone has 524 projects underway totaling $3.95 billion. And since 2015, MDOT SHA has improved half of all of the state's highway lane miles. That's over 8,500 lane miles. Thanks to Governor Hogan's commitment to making Maryland's transportation network the best in the nation, our targeted transportation investments have spurred economic development in our state. And Marylanders are reaping the rewards of these key investments. Governor Hogan's toll rollbacks have saved Marylanders $186 million since 2015. That's an average savings of $62 million a year, $8 million more than originally estimated. That's not even including the $46 million the governor is putting back into Marylanders' pockets over the next 5 years, making E-ZPass transponders free. And more people are using E-ZPass, helping the environment because they're zipping through the E-ZPass lanes instead of waiting in the cash lanes. With lower tolls, more people are using our toll facilities, driving up revenues higher than expected. The Hogan administration has been able to save Marylanders money and still invest in a new $765 million NICE bridge, $1.1 billion on I-95 express toll lanes being extended to Harford County, and studying a new Bay Bridge crossing. At the Port of Baltimore, we are coming off our best fiscal year ever for general cargo tons. 10.9 million tons in fiscal 2018, while our container business continues to set new monthly records, and that's coming off of a 2017 when we handled a record 596,000 containers. And as Governor Hogan announced in January, the Baltimore-Washington Thurgood Marshall Airport also celebrated a new record exceeding 26 million passengers in 2017 for the very first time. People continue to choose BWI, making it the best and the busiest airport in the National Capital Region. And Governor Hogan continues to direct us to think outside the box so that Maryland makes the most of our transportation dollars to deliver the best transportation network possible. We are addressing safety and congestion across the state, from adding lanes on roadways like Maryland 404 on the eastern shore to I-81 in western Maryland, and adding smart traffic signals on congested corridors from southern Maryland to our northern border. So now I would like to let representatives of the MDOT business units update you on important projects that benefit your county. So I will start with MDOT SHA and Greg Slater.
Okay. Thanks for having us here, and thank you, Pete. We have a lot of activities statewide and right here in Carroll County on our roads and bridges, including projects that have a direct benefit to the Carroll County citizens. Under the Hogan administration, we're making great progress right here. We have recently completed a $5.8 million project to replace the structurally deficient bridge at Maryland 496 over Big Pipe Creek, just west of the Manchester area. There's some activity out there right now. It's landscaping. Final stream work is going to continue, but no traffic impacts that our citizens will see on the road. This past summer, we began constructing a $30.8 million urban reconstruction on Maryland 30 business in the town of Hampstead. That project is progressing, and we thank the county for the $600,000 contribution towards construction on that partnership. And we are continuing to work very closely with the residents as well as the businesses through
It's
Hampstead.
worked very well.
It is.
I've been through it, I go through it many times, a little rough right now, but you can progress through north and south and really not delayed, and I really appreciate what you did for the constituents in that area.
Absolutely.
No one really can complain about the way you've worked with them.
It's a continued dialogue, and we just have to keep working through that. You know, these roadway projects, you know, sometimes they're a little rough getting there in the process, but when you're done, it's really done and it works well. So we're expecting that one to be completed in 2020. We've been working on the utility relocations and some of those partnership opportunities as well. Another project we began last summer is the $5.5 million widening on Maryland 26 between Emerald Lane and Calvert Way in Eldersburg. This project includes adding a second lane in each direction on Maryland 26, and completion is anticipated to be next summer. We are actively making capacity improvements along Maryland 97. I know Commissioner Wentz and I just talked about that. In front of Norbrake facility, really Pleasant Valley Road to Airport Drive, Magna Way. Crews are adding a through lane in each direction on Maryland 97 that will improve both safety and mobility through that important corridor for the county. We again appreciate the partnership with Carroll County on that project, with Westminster and the county by contributing $1.7 million to that effort. It really allows us to get great value and really deliver these projects. Construction is underway, and the $2.9 million project will be complete in the summer of 2019. Last year, the governor announced $5 million in funding for improvements to Maryland 32 between Main Street and Macbeth Way to support the activities at the Army National Guard Readiness Center going in there. We're actively working with DGS and our partners to make that happen. The project will add an additional travel lane on northbound Maryland 32 and a center lane to help with some of those turning movements there. Construction is scheduled to begin in the spring of 2019, so you'll start to see that activity come out.
What's the length of that project, Greg? Is it from what to what?
It goes from Main Street and ties into Macbeth Way.
Okay. Okay.
And on a related note, we wrapped up some additional planning work on Maryland 32 between I-70 and Maryland 26 for right here in Carroll County, really kind of bordering that Howard County, that extension. We've identified some real short-term improvements, and we're able to establish that vision for that longer term to guide activities and help us set up for the next stage of that. In April, MDOT-SHA announced the replacement of the Maryland 86 bridge over the south branch of Gunpowder Falls. This project is funded for $7.2 million in construction and is expected to be complete in the summer of 2021. We're also improving several locations in Carroll County this past spring, as well as continued resurfacing Maryland 31 between Main Street and 407, 4 miles of Marston Road between 31 and 27, and we recently redid the parking lot on Maryland park and ride lot on Maryland 30 in Manchester. MDOT-SHA will advertise another $2.5 million safety improvement on Maryland 27 at Gillis Falls Road this fall. This project will widen Maryland 27 and provide left turn lanes and realign Gillis Falls opposite Harrisville Road. We put a temporary traffic signal out there. It was activated in July. And again, we appreciate the partnership with Carroll County on that and delivering those projects. We're contributing another $300,000 and then $100,000 for the temporary traffic controls. This project is anticipated to be completed in 2020. As you may be aware, the town of Mount Airy was awarded a $321,000 Transportation Alternatives funding grant to construct the Old Main Line Central Branch Trail accessibility improvements and some stormwater management work between historic downtown Mount Airy and Watkins Park. For your local projects, we're also providing you $27.9 million in highway user revenues for the county and its municipalities over the next 6 years, and that includes an additional $2.5 million grant recently awarded by the governor. And because you signed that grant application when you came to see us at MACO, we were able to get you that check and that light on Tyrone Road 2 weeks early.
A whole 2 weeks?
Whole 2 weeks early.
Thank you so very much. We do appreciate that project.
Thank you.
Everything counts.
Yeah,
Everything
absolutely.
counts, and I can't, before I turn it over to MVA to hear about the great work that they have, I can't stress enough the partnerships and the value in those partnerships in allowing us to work together on delivering these projects. It really helps us really move things along. So
Thank you.
I'll turn it over to MVA.
All right, thanks, Greg. Since 2014, MDOT-MBA has seen a 41% decrease in wait times by offering additional services through the website and kiosk, which in turn has given our customers back valuable moments in their day. We are proud to announce that the wait times at the Westminster branch have been reduced by nearly 4 minutes to under a 12-minute wait time for our customers. The new online pre-check allows a customer to start a driver's license or identification card transaction renewal online and schedule an appointment at a time of their convenience to finish their transaction. In late 2017, MDOT/MVA began notifying Marylanders with driver's licenses and identification cards that they may need to provide new documentation to renew. This change is a requirement by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to maintain compliance with the Federal Real ID Act. To date, 1.8 million Marylanders have submitted their documentations required for Real ID. Customers who are required to provide documentation can find a full list of acceptable documents using the MDOT/MVA online document guide by visiting mva.maryland.gov. In addition to being notified by the MDOT/MVA, the agency recently announced the launch of a Real ID online lookup tool, which allows customers to conveniently check to see if new documents will be required upon their product renewal. Our MDOT/MVA Administrator, Chrissy Nizer, also serves as Governor Hogan's Highway Safety Representative. Our office has been aggressively working with federal, state, and local partners to develop solutions that will save lives on Maryland roadways. The 558 roadway fatalities we experienced in 2017 is unacceptable, and it's up to all of us to do our part to prevent impaired and distracted driving and speeding. We need to encourage safe behaviors like buckling up and walking smart statewide. To do our part in helping to reduce roadway fatalities, we created the MDOT Traffic Safety Pledge to encourage our employees and all Marylanders to commit to safe driving behaviors. To date, more than 6,000 people have taken the pledge. We've brought pledges with us today. It's my hope that everyone here will take the pledge to commit to safe driving behaviors.
So I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second just to do a little sales pitch on the pledge. And so I think the commissioners have them with them.
Yep.
We can pass them out to the audience as well. But what it simply says is that the person who fills one of these out, you can go online to have this entered, and we capture the fact that we have another person taking the pledge, is that for 30 days, the person who takes the pledge will observe these laws as effectively as they possibly can. And the idea is that it brings good driving behaviors to the forefront for individuals. And I can tell you at MDOT, it started out with different divisions within the department challenging other divisions to see who could get the highest percentage signed up. I would love to suggest that for your county, and then also for your children and grandchildren who are at driving ages, to get them to commit to do these simple things for 30 days. And I would even urge to pass this around to the school districts to try to get them to use them within their schools. It's all just very straightforward, but in fact, we found that if people will commit to this for a period of time, it does change their driving behavior long term. So we would appreciate whatever assistance you can give us, and we urge all of you to take this pledge as well. So, go ahead.
All right. Very important. We need all Marylanders to buckle up, every seat, every time, day and night. In Maryland, nearly 43% of all drivers or passengers who were killed in a crash in 2016 were unbelted at the time of impact. Because unbelted passengers are not secured, they easily become projectiles in crashes, causing serious injuries or death to other passengers. Carroll County is in the initial stages of creating its own highway safety plan, and I would like to thank Sheriff DeWeese for his leadership role in this effort. Our Maryland Highway Safety Office looks forward to working with you. Our efforts to reduce fatalities and save lives received a big boost when Governor Hogan recently announced funding for highway safety grants, including $25,000 for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, $6,000 for the Westminster Police Department, nearly $7,000 for the Sykesville Freedom District Fire Department, and $4,000 for the Sykesville Police Department. MDOT/MVA is committed to providing our customers with as much information as possible to keep them safe on the roadways. Another safety effort MDOT/MVA launched is the first vehicle recall safety pilot program in the nation, funded by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in April of 2018. Running vehicles against the National Safety Recall Database, MDOT adds the life-saving recall message to the vehicle registration renewal notices sent to Marylanders who own or lease their vehicle. Since the program started in April 2018, 50,000 Marylanders who received MDOT renewal notices repaired their vehicles, eliminating the safety recall issue. And now I'll turn it over to MDOT.
Thank you,
Before-
Rashad.
Travis, before you start, I want to interject just a simple fact. As you heard, 43% of our fatalities in Maryland were unbelted, yet our surveys show that 91% of Marylanders are belted. So math says that 43% of our fatalities are coming from 9% of our drivers and passengers. I know of no other way to stress the importance of wearing a seatbelt and saving lives. 43% of fatalities are coming from 9% of our population. So, Travis, go ahead, please.
Thanks, Pete. MDOT makes a significant investment in Carroll County by providing $1.3 million to your local transit system. For fiscal year 2019, this includes funding for 3 small buses, ongoing preventative maintenance, and funding for the rideshare program. Additionally, $208,000 in funding is being provided to nonprofits that serve transportation needs of seniors and people with disabilities in the county. And mine was short and sweet, and with that, I will turn it over to Ashish with MAA to provide you an update. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Good afternoon again, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. The MDOT MAA provides a high level of service and convenience for our customers at BWI Marshall Airport as well as Martin State Airport. In addition, we provide technical assistance and financial grants to support safety and infrastructure improvements at projects at our 35 other public use airports, including your Carroll County Regional Airport. We are fortunate to be served by BWI Marshall, a world-class facility that connects businesses and residents to the global economy. In January, as Pete mentioned, Governor Hogan's announcement of a new report revealed that BWI Marshall produced a total economic impact exceeding $9.3 billion. That also includes visitors to the region and, airport visitors to the region and generated jobs exceeding 106,000. BWI Marshall remains the 22nd busiest in our country and remains the busiest in our Washington region. At BWI Marshall Airport, passenger traffic continues to grow, new airlines and new service to domestic and international markets. The airport actually has set 3 straight annual passenger records, and strong growth continues into 2018. As a metric, through August, BWI Marshall has set new monthly passenger records in 37 of these last 38 months. And that 1 month was last year due to our hurricane season. The airport's capital program is focused on improving the travel experience to our customers while supporting the Maryland tourism and trade. We also recently announced a 55,000 square foot extension of Concourse A, which is the center point for Southwest Airlines operations. This multi-year upgrade to Terminal A, B will include new concession space, and new restrooms. These improvements will greatly enhance our customers' experience throughout the airport. In January 2019, we will begin constructing 5 new gates at the concourse, and this will replace 5 that must be closed for major renovations to our baggage area. This will maintain Southwest Airlines operations throughout the construction period. And here locally in Carroll County, the statewide aviation grant program will provide funding for Carroll County Regional Airport. We'll provide $13,000 in reimbursement funds to support the airport's long-term improvement plans. And now it's my pleasure to turn it over to Melissa, MDTA.
Thank you. As mentioned before, the MDTA permanently eliminated the $7.50 Easy Pass standard transponder fee for all new customers, saving Marylanders an estimated $46 million over the next 5 years. The MDTA is replacing another 400,000 older transponders at no cost to their owners and crediting the accounts of anyone who already purchased a transponder in 2018. The governor's 2015 toll rollback plan also eliminated the $1.50 monthly account maintenance fee, and in February of 2018, the MDTA unveiled its new Easy Pass Maryland mobile website, providing customers with an easier and more convenient way to access their accounts via easypassmd.com. There's never been a better time to join Easy Pass Maryland. In FY18, the number of Easy Pass accounts in Carroll County increased by 15.7% to nearly 30,000 accounts. As you are aware, we continue to make progress on the $5 million Tier 1 National Environmental Policy Act study for a third Chesapeake Bay crossing. The two main goals of this study are to identify where the crossing will be located and how it would be funded. The study began in January of 2017 and is scheduled to be completed in the summer of 2020. Thank you, and now back to Secretary Runn.
Thank you, Melissa. Before I close, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Maryland Transportation Plan, which is the 20-year plan for transportation investments within the state. It represents a vision for the direction of transportation. The plan is updated every 5 years, and it's a requirement that we have to have one of these in order to receive federal funds, as well as local state laws. There is a 60-day public comment period, and it expires on November the 15th. I would really urge all of you and everyone here to go online and let us know how the plan sits with you. Does it represent the direction that you think transportation should be headed within the state? And we will finalize the plan and release it in January of 2019. And I would very much like to thank the county for its great partnership across all of our business modes, and to reiterate that we are available to work with you year-round, not just at MACO, not just during the CTP tour, that we are here to partner and improve transportation within the county wherever we can and whenever we can. So with that, we stand available to answer questions and take comments.
First, I'd just like to say thank you all for coming up here today. But thank you most of all for being extremely responsive. Whenever we talk to you at MACO or talk to you here, you have gone out and looked at to see what we're talking about is feasible, what you can do, how you can help us out. And I truly appreciate that. I can't express how much you've helped us, and I really do appreciate that. But I want to say one thing, a question that you asked at MACO was about our Carroll County Strategic Highway Safety Plan. We were kind of caught off guard by that question, but I have some information for you right now. We have convened an executive steering committee for that, which is comprised representatives of the 4 E's. And I just found out what the 4 E's were, so I'll mention them to you. They're enforcement, engineering, education, and emergency medical services. And our representatives include the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, Carroll County Department of Public Works, Carroll County Volunteer Emergency Services Association, the Westminster Police Department, our MDOT SHA District 7 people, where am I? Carroll County Public Schools, Transportation, and the Maryland State Police. So as we move through the strategic plan, we will update you on what's going on. We don't have much more to report right now. The committee was just convened, but we heard your question. We're putting it to work out there.
Thank you. You will save people's lives with the plan. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to?
So I would like to bring up an issue that's been weighing heavily on my mind over one of the requested improvements that we have brought forth year after year after year. I'm going to start, though, first by thanking all of you for the light at Gillis Falls Road and the speed with which you got that done. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, John, and the rest of you. So here's what's been bothering me. On page CL5 of this, we talk about the Route 26 improvement. And the request from Carroll County is to widen the road from Route 32 all the ways out to the bridges, to past the bridges. Now, we already have 5 lanes through most of Eldersburg. When you get on the very east side of Eldersburg, it narrows down to 2 lanes right at, well, immediately east of Eldersburg. It goes down to 2 lanes. And the 2 lanes goes downhill. It goes across the first reservoir bridge, the second reservoir bridge. And as it goes back up, you've already crossed over Oakland Mills Cross Street, then you cross over Ward's Chapel Cross Street. Here's what's bothering me. When I drive that occasionally in the morning and I experience the traffic, there's a backup. But the backup that comes on the bridges seems to be a direct result of two traffic lights, the one at Oakland Mills and the one at Ward's Chapel. So my concern is this: if we widen the roads to the bridges and we don't deal with the 2 miles or so that are being choked up at Oakland Mills and Ward's Chapel because it's only 2 lanes, remember, we've gone from 5 down to 2, and it stays 2. We're still going to have traffic jams there because the impetus for the traffic jam is clearly the traffic lights at Oakland Mills and Ward's Chapel. Finally, once you clear Ward's Chapel, you go another mile or so, you get to Deer Park on Liberty, and it opens back up to 4 lanes again. So in summary, what do we have? We've got 5 lanes in Eldersburg. We've got 5 lanes at Ward's, where Deer Park hits Liberty, and we've got this 2-lane section in the middle. If we're going to widen that road, we need to get that whole 5-mile section wide. Otherwise, we'll widen it up, and the backup will just occur a few blocks closer to the traffic lights. And I don't feel that we've addressed that, and part of that property is in Baltimore County. So I guess the question is, have you all considered that? Is Baltimore County going to do anything to see that we get that road widened where it clears Ward's Chapel?
Now, I've not asked that question of Baltimore County yet. However, next week is our Baltimore County CTP, which that'll be an opportunity for me to ask that question. But what's the status of all this from SHA?
Yeah, and John can certainly add to this, but a lot of times what happens with these projects is, you have a finite amount of money and you try and figure out how much you can address at the same time. When you get to those areas like that with those bridges, you have to evaluate those bridges to make sure that can they handle an additional lane of traffic from a weight perspective, or do I have to completely replace that bridge to add that? And when you have to replace additional bridges, it does add an additional cost to a project like that. So I think in a lot of cases, what we try to do is do what we can instead of waiting for perfect to make some kind of a progress. But we don't disagree with you. We'd love to see that all the way through.
So just as a follow-up, if I was prioritizing because I had limited money, I think that the choke point isn't so much the bridge as much as it's the 2 traffic lights to the east of the bridge. We need to move more cars through those 2 intersections because, again, once we get past Lyons Mill towards Deer Park, it goes back to 5 lanes again. Then we're good.
Yeah, so you're aware the project that we're doing now at Oakland Mills is a widening project to add left turn lanes at the intersection, with the idea of getting that left turning traffic out of the way of the through traffic to reduce some of that friction that occurs at the intersection. That's under construction now, should be complete in the springtime. As part of that, we'll be looking at the traffic signal timing to upgrade the phasing and then hopefully be able to move some more vehicles through at least that intersection.
Thank you.
Have we? Let me ask the question as a follow-up. Have we looked at those signals, and would putting some intelligent signals in there be beneficial to us to keep the traffic moving?
Sure, potentially. Frankly, we're looking at all of our arterial roadways for those smart signals and adding that intelligence so that they can adapt along the way. The issues that we start to see at an intersection like this is somewhat timing, but it's also storage capacity for those left-turning vehicles, those types of things. So it's a matter of kind of making it intelligent in all aspects of it. But yes, so we're working towards it.
Yeah, I think another thing that helps, I remember studying queuing theory when I was in college, and I think the intersection, I think it's the one at Ward's Chapel, has 2 lanes that can go straight through the intersection, and then it narrows back into 1. And the interesting thing when you look at human behaviors, you'll see that light will back up sometimes for half a mile, but no one will be in the right lane. We could queue twice as many cars through to the intersection. I think if we added signage that says use both lanes to go through the intersection would help from a queuing theory perspective, because that right lane is being wasted right now. People treat it subconsciously as a right turn lane, not realizing they could go through and then merge back in.
We see that a lot across the state, so sometimes it's getting really detailed and clear signage. I travel Interstate 83 every single day coming out of the city from work. When you get to the Baltimore County city line, there's a right-hand lane that's an additional lane climbing up, and we have a sign that says trucks use right lane. People read that thinking only trucks use that right lane, and that traffic will be backed up for 2 miles and nobody's sitting in that 1 mile lane. So, sometimes it's about getting clarity on the signage.
It's a matter, maybe paint some white arrows or
Yeah.
put some signs, because I think it would help. And I'll tell you a funny anecdotal story about that. About 10, 15 years ago, I was pulled over by a state trooper on Route 27.
That's right.
And, keep up. You have me confused with yourself. And he says, I said, what'd you pull me over for? He says, he says, you went through used the right lane to go through the intersection. I said, but it doesn't say right turn only. And I went back and checked, and of course, it doesn't, it's still that way today. But even a trooper had subconsciously treated it as a right turn only lane, when in fact, there was that lane existed on both sides of the intersection. So if we could just put some signage up, we could increase queuing through those intersections without incurring the huge expense with a permanent widening of the lanes. Because it is clearly those intersections are not the bridge that is the choke point.
You're this trooper on a first-name basis.
We had an interesting discussion, and he let me go, so I guess he decided I was right.
Commissioner Weaver?
You want to bring it up,
Which one?
Manchester?
Well, yeah, I was going to. Steve's here, and I don't know whether
Steve
he's going to
here
do that or
first.
not, but we may, and I'll touch on it, and then you can elaborate on it, Steve. But a couple things before that. It's remarkable to hear the figures about the Easy Pass and the number of folks in Carroll that have those. That's incredible to me, because you don't often think about that here. You do when you get closer to that lovely little bridge on Route 50. But so kudos to all of you, including Governor Hogan, of course, who led that charge, but making that happen. That's there's some good numbers there. The smart signals that you're talking about, Greg, as opposed to the what, dumb signals, or is that what we're, okay. I'm hopeful, and maybe that's already been done, but on the Route 97 project, through our airport section out there, you know, we've seen an incredible increase in light manufacturing out there. We've got a brand new machinery company that just opened their doors, so traffic's picking up big time. I would hope, and I know you're going to nod yes, but this is just to say that with the widening out there, and we truly do appreciate that, and I've said this before, to really make it effective, it should be from 140 to Pleasant Valley. But I get it, and I get this. I understand that. But I'm hopeful that the metering or the lights go along with that project, because maybe similar to what Commissioner Rothschild's talking about, sometimes I'll sit there and watch, and it's all because of the lights that makes those backups occur out there. So I'm hopeful that's part of that project as well.
And I'll add, first of all, I think that's your technology corridor, isn't it? So it's.
Yes.
It is.
So, you know,
Yeah.
it's great. You know, as I think about that corridor, I can see kind of where that is in our queue of our smart signal upgrades.
Okay.
Because I think it is an ideal corridor for those types of things.
'Cause-
Not a lot of access points, and you're able to really kind
Yeah.
of benefit from that.
Because I know last year, I don't want to cut you off, but I think it was last year when we met in Ocean City, I asked about those two signals coming up from 140, and I know you guys came out and checked them, and then you made some adjustment to them.
Right.
But we don't have the smart signals yet.
I'm not sure. I can
Okay.
go back and check where that
Okay.
is. If you don't, then I'll see exactly where that is in the
Right.
queue. What those smart signals are able to do is they're able to adapt on the fly based on your traffic volumes that are coming through there. So,
Right.
you know, and we see it more and more in the system where everybody's on their phone using Waze and Google Traffic. When you have a crash on one system, the volume picks up on another. This will allow your system to adapt to that, increase signal timing, and move along. Some of the corridors that we've been doing, you know, our greatest benefit was Maryland 24 up in Harford County. I think we were getting close to a 15 to 20% reduction on that one. It's these corridors that don't have a tremendous amount of access points and driveways and those types of things that allow us to really maximize in between those signals.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. And I'm going to give you kudos again before I get to my next topic. As a member of public safety for years here, we've been barking about Tyrone and 140 for many, many years, and the statistics prove that the barking is necessary. Never before have I seen the communication like I've seen it now. You guys took that, including you guys, Pete, you took that and you've made it happen in a matter of 4 months. I applaud you for that, and that's it, and I'll piggyback on what Commissioner Frazier said. We've never seen that kind of communication and that kind of collaboration before, And I applaud each and every one of you for that. That's incredible. And the citizens appreciate that as well.
Commissioner, that starts at the top with Pete and the governor. That's what they expect.
Right.
That's what we.
And he doesn't see me doing it, but I'm standing behind him, patting him on the back. Okay? Let's be clear. The last thing that I have is Route 27 and 30, and we talked about that too at MACO, and about certainly we can't do anything financially at this time with Route 30. We all identified that. We certainly can in the out years. But we discussed enhancing the intersection there of 27 and 30 to make traffic move a little bit better through there. So I don't know if we made any inroads into that or not. I know that town administrator from Manchester's here, Steve Miller. So if we want to go ahead and scoot to that, is that good or what?
Why don't we let us finish first, and then we'll let the.
All right, sit down, Steve.
officials.
All right.
Let's do that. Let's do it that way.
So that's the last one that I've got. But again, you know, everything else that we asked for, good grief. You either tell us yes or no, and here lately it's been yes, and we appreciate that. You know, the bridge, Greg and John, on 496, that thing's awesome. I almost think you maybe want to put an Easy Pass thing up there. That's incredible. I can't, and the way in which you finished it in the timely fashion that you did as well. And I know there's a lot of subcontractors involved with that, and I get that. But it takes the leadership from the top to make those subcontractors work as well. But that's a thing of beauty right there. So, so kudos to everybody. Yeah.
Very, very efficient.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you mentioned Easy Pass after the election. But we haven't done that beforehand. I just have one or two things I want to bring up, and the first one is a really small thing, but we've had a number of pedestrians hit crossing 140, trying to get from one side to the other, obviously. But I'm looking at if, in a sense, it's a state road, if we could put a crosswalk at 140 and Gorsuch Road. On one side, there's a 7-Eleven. On the other side, there's a motel. People go back and forth between those two all the time. Also, behind the 7-Eleven, there's a high school. People come down, students come down, go to 7-Eleven, I'm gonna go to the McDonald's. It's McDonald's. Goes to McDonald's, and then go across that road. Why, there is a light there. There's no crosswalk there. I don't know what studies have to be done, but I think it would help out a lot if you put a crosswalk in that particular spot.
Absolutely, we're happy to look at that.
Okay.
So just as a side note, we're about 23% right now of all fatalities in the state are pedestrians. And we're actively trying to work on that. Not necessarily this particular issue, but we have had an influx. Chrissy Nizer over at MVA and I are working on this very closely. We've had a real increase in pedestrians on interstate roadways. People getting out, changing a tire, and are killed by a vehicle that's driving by. So we're really trying to get out there and educate folks on how to do that properly and safely. But we're happy to look at that.
Right. I think that's just a great spot because it was McDonald's, not 7-Eleven. Otherwise, in my mind. But anyway, McDonald's on one side and a hotel on the other. Another thing I'd like to bring up, thank you for the 3 buses that we received this year. I really do appreciate it. But what we're trying to do is similar to what you did with the MBA. You cut down your wait time. We're trying to cut down on our wait time for our buses. Right now, if you live in the city of Westminster, if you get dropped off at a particular stop, it's say 45 minutes before that bus gets back to that stop. If you're outside the city, it's an hour and a half. If we had additional buses, we could put additional buses on those routes, so we could cut that time in half. Because we're trying to get more people onto the buses, if they want to. I mean, I know Carroll County loves their cars, but there are people for various reasons that don't have cars or can't use them at particular times. So we could have, we cut those wait times down. I think more people would be getting on the buses that we have.
Sure.
So
I actually think we're on our way to making improvements. We recently just kicked off your guys' transportation development plan that we're working with Jeff and his staff on, which will take a look at exact things like that to kind of cut down wait times and headway. So I think you'll definitely see an improvement once we get through this study and implement some of those changes.
That'd be great. That'd be great, because we stood up I think it's 2 additional routes this past year. And because of that, we had a 40% increase in ridership.
Is it the one Trailblazer route, I believe?
Yes, the Trailblazers,
okay.
yeah. So it's tremendous, so we get some additional buses. And I appreciate what we've gotten, but,
Sure.
We want to stand up more routes and we less wait time. I think would be very beneficial. All right. Mr.
I
Weaver?
just had one. I wanted to thank you. We mentioned the Dos Garland exit on the Route 34 housing development. That's not even started. We're in the planning stages. The town of Hampstead's working on it. the fact that it's on the radar, right now is the time to deal with it before anything ever happens to put it together. So I'm really impressed with that. And my only other one is, same as Commissioner Wance says, the Route 30 and 27 off-ramp, and that is, I think, a major concern to that whole corridor, whole northern part of the county and eastern part.
Right now. Now we can open up to other elected officials that might want to say something. Just come up to the microphone.
Steve, you're up now.
I can't even tell.
Good afternoon, Secretary Ron. Thank you for coming out to beautiful Carroll County. Steve Miller, I'm Town Administrator for the Town of Manchester. As Commissioner Wance said, and I'll follow up on that, we had a very good meeting. John and county staff, mayor and council back in September. And we actually opened the door up for ideas and solutions to basically help the traffic on Route 30. Unfortunately, or fortunately, there's probably conservatively 500 new homes being built currently in southern York County, Pennsylvania, that take Route 30 southbound into Baltimore each day. So we have to plan for that. My mayor and council do not want to lose sight of the Manchester bypass, but I think if we can partner through the county, state highways, and the town of Manchester, I think we can solve some issues and come up with some good solutions, especially the Route 27 and 30 intersections. So thank you again for hearing us out. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, John, where are we on that? I know we were going to take a look at that, so.
So what we have communicated to the town is that we are in the process of developing a scope of work to look at traffic operational analysis through the town. We'd like to look at each of the two intersections, 27 and 30, which we already have a project that reached 65% design. And we also have the 30 at York Street, Westminster Street, where we want to take a look at some of the options that were suggested at the town meeting, such as maybe restricted parking, additional restricted parking, to see what opportunities that may give us in terms of additional capacity through there. With regard to the project at 30 and 27, which was at 65%, we're sharing those plans with the town because of some of the costs that were associated with the town being a partner in that project, right, and asking them to look at those utility costs and relocations to see if their numbers match our numbers and where there might be opportunities to partner them with the county and the town.
Okay, I do know there were some challenges with some infrastructure there. I believe moving a water main, is that right, Steve?
Correct. It was a water main relocation, also a sewer gravity and sewer main.
Okay.
Right.
So, you know, we're certainly willing to sit at the table and you know, help them get through that too.
Okay.
What are we talking about time-wise here, John? I know it's, you know, but to realize something there, something being some sort of improvement to that corridor.
So I think that's something we need to talk about a little bit more detail. We don't have that project was put on hold a few years ago because of the cost of the town.
Right.
So we need to go back, take a look at that with the town's input before we can really give I think a real definite answer.
Okay, and that's fine. I don't want it to get put back in the drawer somewhere again.
Agreed.
So
No.
let's keep it.
It's on our radar,
Yeah,
for sure.
we'll sit down too and make sure that we can assist in any way we can. That's a challenging area there, and we got to do whatever we can to get a little bit of improvement to that.
Right.
We have 4 years to get it done.
4 years.
So there's your timeline right there. So there's that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Secretary Ron, thank you for coming out today. Neil Rope, Mayor of New Windsor. We've been working with State Highway Administration since 2013 on our streetscape project. Actually, we started in the late 90s, and then when the funding was cut in 2000, 2001, we had to put it on hold, and then we started again in 2013. And for 5 years, we had, I don't know how many meetings, and the design is probably, I'm guessing, around 60-some% finished. We haven't had a meeting for a while because the funding is not there. For 5 years, I know that we were not guaranteed or assured that or guaranteed or promised that the money would be there, but we, for 5 years, in the discussions, we're always told that the funding would be there at some point. And then last year, State Highway Administration submitted a $6.3 million grant application for the Tiger Grant. And then we received a letter this past July that because the application was denied, that the funding for the New Windsor Streetscape project was not there, and it was going to be put on hold. It's a little discouraging knowing that for 5 years we were assured that the money would be there. Never promised or guaranteed, but assured that the funding would be there for this project. And then this past year, we're told, oh, sorry, it's not. And we're going on with our portion of the responsibilities, the sewer line and the water line replacement, and that's about $3 to $4 million, and that's a lot for a small town. And then be told by State Highway, okay, sorry, we're not going to be able to do it. And I know that there's a couple fiscal years before State Highway has to come in, so I'm just hoping that there is some funding in the next 2 years for this project.
Okay. What we're faced with at MDOT right now is that in 2015, we had the injection of, from Governor Hogan's direction to increase funding to highways, and which we did. The governor had announced at that point that $1.2 billion, as well as a program to utilize the revenues that were coming in from the 2013 transportation tax bill that the legislature passed then. So we were on a very strong wave of construction and plans in 2015 when I arrived. The very next year, it turns out that we had to cut $750 million out of the program because the projections for fuel tax, the sales tax, rather, on fuel, was not going to produce what it was. Estimates had been fuel would be $4.20 over this period of time. I noticed today I saw $2.21. So the problem was that we had to address the fact that we were not going to receive $750 million from anticipated revenues over that period of time. Then the next year after that, we had to reduce, I'm trying to think, another $200 million because of vehicle sales. While the numbers were up, the actual values of the cars being sold were down, and we were able to get into it without canceling any projects, but everything took a haircut. And so now, as we are looking forward, we are now facing people buying more fuel-efficient cars. Right? I suspect most people here, the most recent vehicle you bought, is that the vehicle you bought is getting less, is getting better fuel mileage than the one you replaced. And so now what we are seeing is this decline over a long period of time of revenues as a very slight decline, but what it means is cumulatively our plan right now is to address a slightly declining revenue stream, and what that means is we are living and delivering the commitments that we had made that were hard commitments that had been made within the CTP, and projects like what you're describing are the projects that just keep getting pushed. And unless we get, I think that we're going to have to see an increase in a federal infrastructure program before we return to a point where we're going to be able to just simply take on a lot of new things for us to do. I don't know if that long explanation answers your why you are where you are, but I don't want to give you false hopes that right now, as we are looking forward, our job is we're going to deliver what's been committed to in here, and we're going to make sure that these things get done, but we are not adding And that means across the board, we are not adding unless it's in a P3 arrangement where we're able to bring, for instance, private sector money in, like what we're talking about around the Beltway in DC, or a P3 arrangement at the airport for the construction that's going on there that's being partnered with the airlines. So that's our focus, is how, we know we need things, we want to deliver things. How do we leverage what we have into that? So as a mayor, I'm sure it's got to be very frustrating for you to be investing in stormwater, sewer, and other utilities in anticipation of a project that is indefinite. I can't give you a better answer than that, I'm sorry.
I understand. The thing that we also will be facing is we're going to most likely put the water line replacement out to bid next year. And if there's no funding in sight, that means a lot as far as how we patch and blacktop. Now, if there's a waiver, or if State Highway can at least fund the paving for that, so that when it is torn up and the State Highway Administration comes in and does their portion, that's a tremendous help, because it's going to be very expensive if we have to pave according to State Highway Administration specs.
Put it on the radar.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Carroll County. First, I wanted to thank you for coming out a few years ago and visiting our Route 32 project. And we've made some progress on that and at least have an idea what it may take. And Commissioner-elect Rothstein and I went down and met with your team, got the plans, and we are hopeful that we're at least moving forward. But you just gave some bad news right there, if it's not in the CTP. But just a little history. That project has been our #1 capacity project for since I've been here, 16 years. And now we really have an urgency because we finally settled on Warfield, and it's moving forward. Bulldozers are there, the houses are being built, we're getting ready to bring in commercial development. So it's really, the timeliness is really, it's perfect for to move this project forward. We also have the Army National Guard Readiness Center. We know there's a project there that's going to help an intersection. So there's a lot of moving parts. And I've asked Greg he broke out some of the possible breakout projects that we might be able to do short of the widening. But every year, I call it a widening, more efficient use of the traffic patterns. Every year that we've come here for years, before your term, they always say, if we would partner, if we would partner. So I guess my question is, not for you to give me an answer, but how do we as the county move these things forward? The little projects, and I appreciate some of the things we've partnered with, and that's the key word, and I know it's all over the state, the county's partner for these projects, and some of our small projects that were not even on the radar screen years ago are moving forward, and I appreciate that. But some of these bigger ones just don't move at all. So how do we get these to move forward as well? And they're equally as important, they're just a bigger lion to tame. So I'd just like to know specifically, how do we move some of this forward? It's the delay, it's just causing us not to be able to do economic development in the area. It's just people crawl to work and back, and this is our #1 priority, like I said, for 16 years, after the Hampstead bypass. So put that on your radar screen. What do we need to do I don't want to come back next year and say, hey, it's still on the plan, it's still on our little list here as a wish. So that's very important. I also wanted to thank John for putting together a list of projects that you guys have done in Carroll County, because sometimes we say, oh, we don't do anything. We have $130 million worth of projects in the last few years that have been done here in the county, and he literally put together a wonderful list for us to really show us what projects you guys have done, and new ones now with the partnership with Carroll. So really appreciate the investment that you have had here. But we were long overdue in this county. We did not get a lot for a long time, for whatever reason. I'm not going to say why. Politics, whatever. And when the early administration came in, we moved some things forward, and then things got all over the state. Road projects were not as important as other projects. But now we need to have some catching up to do. So we're making some headway, but I want to ask you to please let us know, how do we accelerate whatever portions we can to get this done. There's another small project that's on Route 32. It's the Johnsville-Bennett Road intersection. About 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, we came out, Mark Crampton came out. We put a project together there, and I know that it is scheduled for certain things next year. But it will be 10 years since it's a safety project. And I know that our county administrator is knows about it because her daughter's car was totaled there about 8 years ago, which really got me motivated. It's a really, it doesn't work properly. So if that can be accelerated at all, I don't know if the county can work to accelerate that. Right now, I think it's scheduled for 2022 to be complete. No, maybe it's 2020, I'm sorry. But it will have been a 10-year period of time on this safety improvement. So I think it's about a $5 million project.
It's a $4.4 million project, fully funded for construction, ready to go. We got about a year's worth of utility work out there before we can actually start building the roadway, but funded and moving.
There's
So
no
you'll see
easement
that one.
issues. Somebody said there might be no easement issue. Okay. So thank you for that. And I want to thank you, but 32 is it's like the lost stepchild out there. And I want to make sure that you know that is still in our packet has been #1 in my 16 years for capacity. So, and with our new project, Army National Guard, maybe we can do some more partnerships and get that rolling. Thank you. And you can come out for the ribbon cutting like you did on the other portion.
All right. Well, we have a little break at speaker show. I just wanted to say thank you for the 482 in Gorsuch Road. That little section you put in has made such a difference in safety for people. Now, Delegate Shoemaker started that a couple years ago, but I'm at the polls Tuesday. I got the credit for it. So thank you for putting that in.
Even better.
Worked for me.
Okay, well, Secretary, all your representatives, thank you so much for coming out today. So I won't ask you again. I'm Mayor Ian Shaw from the town of Sykesville. And actually, since the pre-tour, I've come to realize some of the things you just said in reference to Neil's comment. So unfortunately, I guess we made the mistake of tying some significant infrastructure issues that we have in our town to the possibility of getting some streetscape funding and doing this all as one project. So I'm here today to talk about serious deficiencies in our town. So there is a lot of great things you've done for Carroll County, and I do appreciate it, but 851 is there's a lot of serious issues. Everybody's aware of it. So Delegate Krebs was our representative in 2015 when we came and got some money for streetscape in the hopes of doing this all as one project. The reality is that's never going to happen, right? So I came to that realization from the pre-tour to today to understand, you know what, we're never going to get this serious infrastructure issues fixed. We might as well forget about the streetscape itself. That's a surface project. You know, we need to be thinking about what's underneath the ground. Jeff, you know, is aware we got serious sewer issues there, the stormwater, the hydrology. I mean, you guys know about the hydrology issues there. The pipe is a shell. We've got video of it from 2015. So here we are in 2019. I'm just saying, even if we get started now, we're years out to get this infrastructure fixed. So that needs to be my focus now. The town has money set aside to capture some additional stormwater that we wanted to upsize the pipe, because we've got the studies. I mean, State Highway, you guys got the hydrology studies. We need to be thinking about this stormwater. And then sewer can be done at the same time, and we can at least address that. I'm seriously concerned about, especially with all this rain what we've been having, to end up with some Ellicott City type situation with stormwater rushing down the middle of our street and it falling in. I'm telling you, it's scary. Every time one of those storms happens, I'm sweating, just waiting for another sinkhole to open up. The one sinkhole that opened up in front of our restaurant, Beck's down there, I mean, you could stand in it. You know, I know that John is aware, but I really just need to bring this to your attention. This needs to be the focus now. And to get it, and I'm going to talk to our delegates. You know, we're victims of some of the gerrymandering, so we've got the Howard County delegates, but my next meeting is going to be with them. They've just gotten reelected. Our Commissioner-elect Rothstein's here today, getting up to speed on these projects. So, I mean, so our current county commissioner, Doug Howard, testified. Delegate Krebs testified, the staff testified at that last time at the tour back in 2015, because they had set aside money for 17, that's come and gone, to do their sewer portion. And we really just need, the urgency now is here. And so forget the streetscape from my perspective. If any money ever comes, give it to Neil. You know, right? Yeah. But I'm just saying, for now, I mean, the realities are that the infrastructure is what the issue is. We can do the surface project at some other time, but I don't want it to get lost in the fact that these structural issues are going on underneath of the town. That's the most severe issue facing us. I think that's a capital project. I don't look at that as something that we got to wait for funding. We don't have to wait until the road opens up to say, oh, we found some money, because then it's a lot more expensive too. If we can plan this, that was the whole point, to get economies of scale and to plan this project. Because when you're trying to fix a hole after the rain's coming down, you got all these contractors, the price is astronomical. So that's my plea here today. And I'm hoping you'll take it serious, because it's serious. I mean, I'm very worried about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're never getting it. Hate to tell you that.
So,
Anybody else? We have one more? Okay.
Hi, I'm Tammy Ledley. I'm town manager of Hampstead. So I just want to echo what Commissioner Weaver just said. And first, thank all of you for coming, of course, and all of our officials who have been reelected. Congratulations, or the new ones that were just elected, congratulations. But on behalf of Mayor Nevin, I'd like to thank you for everything you've done for the town of Hampstead. Our Main Street is going very well. I don't know if I'd say it's completely complaint-free, but it's going very, very well. And State Highway has worked with us, we call them about anything, call John about anything, we get an answer immediately, and everybody has partnered with us. It's been an incredible experience, and I can't say enough of how wonderful it's been working with our contractor too, CJ Miller. So it's going very well. Of course, we've had a lot of rain. So there is some delays, which has nothing to do with State Highway. And Commissioner Weaver also just mentioned Doss Garland Road, because we do have a big housing development coming in. Doss Garland Road actually connects with Phillips Drive, that then connects to the southern circle of the bypass. So it is something we would like to, it's a county road, but it is for the benefit of the town too, for the housing development. So it is something we'd like to talk to you about in the future. But again, I just want to say thank you. It's a great job, and it's going to be wonderful. We're hoping Section 1 should be finished if the rain ever stops, and we're going to light up our lamp post on Section 1, and we're decorating them for Christmas, so we're really excited.
I think about that all the way back to when I was in the deputy seat, and Greg Johnson and I sat out at the town, and we really just, it's a good contractor, it's a good effort. I think it's just good all around.
Thank you.
I just want to very quickly just say thank you to everyone, and I very much appreciate mayors and others, the difficulties you have. I mean, mayors and commissioners have some of the toughest jobs that I know of. You're face to face with people that are enduring issues all the time, and I got that. And that's why, I mean, quite honestly, I try to tell you how it is, not what you want to hear, because you need information to be able to make decisions about what you're going to do within your jurisdictions. So I never like having to tell you that the odds of big projects coming about in the near future are going to be very, very hard to get. But I keep your eyes open for something, if something comes out of the federal government as far as a major infrastructure program that produces some real dollars for us, then there's the opportunity to tackle obviously projects that right now are just simply beyond our ability to put that much money into any one thing.
So, Mr. Secretary, I would like to bring up one more issue that I first breached about 2 years ago, and it won't cost you any money. It'll save millions of gallons of fuel.
I don't know if I like this then.
Should have no capital costs I can think of. And it'll save millions of hours of time for our citizens. And it has to do with going back to these VEIP, these vehicle emission inspection programs. And 30 years ago, we built these things with dynamometers and treadmills and all this, stuff that we needed at the time. But the technology has changed. In 1996, the cars were equipped with OBDs, onboard diagnostics. And now, as you know, when you pull your car in to have inspected, they plug it in, and 5 seconds later, you're done. And recognizing that, and I congratulate SHA and MVA and whatnot, you've now moved to kiosk, where you can go to a kiosk and plug your own car in. In 5 seconds, it's done. But the trajectory for this is obvious. We shouldn't have to make a special trip. The dealers should be able to just say, yeah, when you take your car in for an oil change, they ought to be able to plug it in and give you a sheet of paper saying, yep, your OBD was clean. And we should start looking at moving that to the dealerships, and that eliminates the need for mail-in drivers to have to make a special trip, which is, for some people, that's 50 miles round trip, just for their VEIP inspection. And that reduces your staffing, your repair, your capital costs for putting in more kiosks. You get the idea.
And in fact, MVA, which oversees the VEIP program, and in cooperation with the Department of Environment, is very much aware of where this is all headed. Kiosks were the first step. The idea of having local inspections done at various businesses is something that's an active conversation that's going on. Frankly, the question is, 10 years from now, will we even need these inspections? So we're aware of this, and we want to make this as simple as possible. So it's there. It's absolutely a conversation that's going on.
Good. Well, thank you.
Anything else? Last chance. Okay, with that, thank you very much for coming up today. And again, thank you for how responsive you are when we ask you for something. Really, very much appreciate it. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.